Sunlight spills through the wide windows of my parents' formal dining space, dancing off crystal glasses like miniature rainbows. The familiar heaviness of tradition settles over me as I adjust the deep red cloth napkin across my knees, breathing in the rich scent of Mom's famous pot roast. Dad stands at the head of the polished wooden table, slicing the meat with expert precision, each piece landing perfectly on the fine china he saves for special Sunday meals. "Just a small portion for me, Dad," I mention, watching as he pretends not to hear and piles a generous serving onto my plate regardless. "You're too skinny, Gabrielle," he comments without glancing up. "Always have been." I'm about to remind him that at 38, I'm perfectly capable of deciding my own food portions when the front door flies open. The peaceful scene shatters as my sister Vanessa sweeps in with her husband Mark and their 3 kids. Immediately, the dining area fills with chaos, backpacks hitting the floor, children squabbling over chairs, Mark's heavy steps. "Sorry we're late," Vanessa announces, not sounding sorry at all. Her eyes sparkle with an unusual excitement that immediately makes me wary. "Traffic was terrible near the outlet mall. You went shopping before Sunday dinner?" I ask, but my question gets drowned out by Mom's enthusiastic welcome for her grandchildren. Dad exchanges a quick look with Vanessa, a silent message that tightens something in my chest. I know that expression. The secret glance they've shared since childhood. Usually right before I discovered I'd been excluded from some family decision. "Well, we're all together now," Mom says, patting the table. "Charles, finish serving so we can eat while it's warm." We fall into our familiar routine of passing dishes and making small conversation. Mom asks about my latest architecture project. Dad quizzes Mark about the stock market. The kids occasionally complain about the vegetables on their plates. "So," Vanessa says suddenly, her voice cutting through the dinner chatter, "we're moving into your lake house next week. We're having foundation problems with our place." My fork stops halfway to my mouth. "What?" "It's just sitting empty anyway, Gabrielle," Dad says, his tone casual but his eyes alert. "I get the blue bedroom," Vanessa's oldest son announces, bouncing in his chair. "No fair." "Grandma said I could have that one," his sister protests. Their argument fades into background noise as understanding washes over me. The kids have already chosen bedrooms. This wasn't a spontaneous announcement. This was planned, discussed, and decided long before I ever sat down at this table. "Your lake house has plenty of space," Mom adds, as if that settles everything. "And they won't be there forever. 6 years. 6 years I've spent restoring that lakeside property. $420,000 to buy it, plus another $95,000 in essential repairs. I handled the flood damage alone 3 years ago while they were all cruising the Caribbean, spent weeks saving hardwood floors and replacing drywall. That house is more than real estate to me. It's where I rebuilt my life after my divorce, where I learned to sleep without checking the locks 3 times, where I finally started breathing again. Family helps family," Vanessa says, her voice taking on the practiced rhythm of a rehearsed speech. "We do the same for you. It'll only be for 7 months until the foundation work is done," Dad adds. Mark stares at his plate, the uncomfortable silence speaking volumes about his involvement in this scheme. I place my napkin beside my plate, a quiet gesture that draws everyone's attention. Something shifts inside me, a clarity that feels both surprising and long overdue. "Gabrielle, you're always so protective of your things," Mom says, dismissing my unspoken objection with a wave of her hand. "This is what families do, Gabrielle," Dad adds, his tone sliding into the condescending one he uses when he thinks someone's being unreasonable. "We support each other." Vanessa's lips curve into a satisfied smile that grows as she watches me, sensing another win in our lifelong pattern. She always takes. I always give. Our parents always enable, not this time. I reach for my purse hanging on the chair beside me, pull out a crisp manila folder, and place it on the table. I open the folder to reveal renovation contracts and city permits, each page bearing my signature and dates from 3 months ago. "The contractors start Monday next week," I say. It's a complete 9-month renovation. Everything down to the studs. Silence falls over the table, thick and sudden. Dad's knife hovers above the roast. Mom's water glass remains suspended halfway to her lips. Vanessa's smile crumbles. I take a slow, deliberate sip of water, surprised by the steadiness in my hand as I raise the glass. The crystal catches the light, casting tiny rainbows across the tablecloth. Beautiful. Sharp-edged prisms that no one else seems to notice. Silence chokes the dining room as I watch understanding bloom across my family's faces. The manila folder with renovation contracts sits between us like a loaded weapon. Dad's knife stays suspended above the roast. Mom's water glass frozen midair. For once, Vanessa's practiced smile has shattered. "You can't be serious," Vanessa finally says, her voice rising an octave. "We've already given notice at our apartment. Where are we supposed to go?" I take another sip of water, using the moment to recall the long history of Vanessa's entitlement flashing through my mind. The time she borrowed my car for a weekend trip that stretched to 2 months. When she returned it, the cracked windshield was apparently already damaged. The small loan of $3,000 that somehow grew to $18,000, still unpaid 6 years later. The spare key to my apartment I discovered she'd had made without permission when I found her using my shower one day. "You'll have to find somewhere else," I say, my voice steadier than I expected. The contractors start Monday, Gabrielle. Dad sets down his carving knife, abandoning all pretense of continuing dinner. His corporate negotiator voice slides into place, the tone he reserves for difficult clients. "Be reasonable about this. Your sister has 3 children. And foundation problems," Mom adds, nodding vigorously. "You can't expect them to live in an unsafe house." "I don't," I reply. "I expect them to find their own housing solution that doesn't involve taking mine." Vanessa's eyes narrow as she exchanges a look with Dad. I recognize their silent communication. The same look they shared when I was 16 and discovered they'd given away my college savings to fund Vanessa's wedding. The coordinated pressure campaign is so familiar I could script it. But we've already started packing. Vanessa's voice shifts from demanding to desperate. Right on cue, the moving truck is scheduled for Monday morning. "This will break your father's heart," Mom whispers, reaching for Dad's hand in theatrical solidarity. My phone buzzes on my lap. A text from Miguel, my contractor. "All materials delivered. We're ready for Monday morning, 7 a.m. sharp." A notification follows. "Smart lock system active." Something warm spreads through my chest. Not anger, not anxiety, confidence. While they were planning their ambush, I was preparing. The security company finished installation last week. The renovation permits are filed and approved. I've done everything properly. What about storage for our furniture? Mark speaks for the first time, still studying his plate. We could at least store things in the garage temporarily. The garage is being converted to a home gym, I say. Everything's coming down to the studs. You'll regret choosing renovation over family. Vanessa hisses, tears forming on command. I've seen this performance before. At family holidays, birthdays, anytime she doesn't get her way. The tears that appear and vanish with suspicious precision. Dad leans forward, voice lowered. "Gabrielle, this situation could affect certain decisions about the future. The inheritance threat. Right on schedule. What about the children?" Mom's voice rises with practiced distress. "They'll be homeless." I fold the napkin on my lap precisely, each crease deliberate. The weight of their expectations, their lifetime of demands disguised as family obligation, presses against my shoulders. But it no longer crushes me. "Poor planning on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on mine," I say. Meeting Dad's gaze directly, recognition flashes across his face. His own words, the business mantra he's repeated for decades to clients who failed to prepare properly, turned back on him. I stand, collecting my purse and the manila folder. I've honored my contractual obligations. You should respect my boundaries. "Sit down, Gabrielle," Dad's voice hardens. "We're not finished discussing this." I am. Vanessa's oldest son looks up from his plate, confused by the tension. "But I already told my friends about my new lake house bedroom." "It's not your bedroom," I say gently. "And it's not your lake house." I walk toward the door, footsteps echoing on hardwood. The family scrambles behind me, a chorus of protests and demands. I don't turn around. The front door closes behind me with a soft click that feels more final than a slam. Outside, the autumn air fills my lungs. I walk to my car, ignoring the dining room curtain twitching as Mom watches me leave. My phone lights up with Dad's number before I've even backed out of the driveway. 12 missed calls by the time I reach the highway. Only when I'm alone on the interstate, 20 miles between us, do my hands begin to shake against the steering wheel. The adrenaline crash hits hard, trembling fingers, shallow breaths. But beneath the physical reaction, my resolve remains steady. I pull into a rest stop, dial Miguel's number. Make sure the security system is fully operational by tomorrow morning. I tell him when he answers. And could you move the dumpsters directly in front of the garage doors? I'm worried about unauthorized access. Already planned on it, he replies, and I can hear the smile in his voice. After what happened with the flood damage repairs, I figured your family might try something. I grip the phone tighter. He remembers. Someone remembers how I handled the emergency repairs alone 3 years ago, when the family was too busy cruising the Caribbean to help. The locks are changed. Miguel continues, and we've got cameras at all entry points. The shaking in my hands stops. I'm not alone in this, thank you, I say. I'll see you on Monday morning. As I end the call, a text from Vanessa appears. Dad's furious. Fix this now. I switch my phone to silent and set it on the passenger seat. The evening sky deepens to indigo above the highway as I pull back onto the road, heading home. Not to the lake house. That's becoming something new now. Something entirely mine. But to the apartment where I've learned to sleep through the night without checking the locks 3 times. Tomorrow they'll escalate. I know this with absolute certainty. But for the first time in our shared history, I'm ready. Monday morning of the next week arrives with the rumble of an engine that doesn't belong. I pause at my kitchen window, coffee mug halfway to my lips, watching a moving truck lumbering up my lakeside property's narrow gravel driveway. The burgundy logo on its side matches the color of Vanessa's lipstick at that terrible Sunday dinner. My phone vibrates against the counter. 5th call from Dad since dawn. I silence it without looking, gathering the folder of permits I'd shown the family on that Sunday dinner. The weight of it in my hands feels different now, substantial, like armor rather than paper. By the time I arrive at the lake house, Ray and his construction crew have already established a perimeter of orange safety cones. Sawhorses block the driveway entrance, forcing the moving truck to idle at the road. I park behind Ray's pickup and step out into crisp autumn air that carries the scent of pine and chainsaw exhaust. Miss Morgan? Ray nods, clipboard in hand, flanked by 6 workers in hard hats. We've got the demolition permits posted as required. Interior stripping begins in 30 minutes. Thank you. I scan the property. I see we have unexpected visitors. Ray's weathered face remains professional. They arrived about 10 minutes ago, claimed they had your permission to move in today. The moving truck's door swings open. Vanessa emerges, designer sunglasses pushed atop her head, face flushed with color that deepens when she spots me. What the hell is going on? She stalks toward me, pointing at the construction equipment. These men won't let our movers through. I meet her halfway, maintaining enough distance that her voice must carry across the yard. The security guard I hired stands attentively near Ray, his presence a calm reassurance. As I explained to you last week, the renovation begins today. I hold up the permits. The property isn't livable during construction. You can't be serious. Vanessa's voice rises, drawing stares from the workers. We've already given notice at our place. Where are we supposed to go? I pull an envelope from my bag. This might help. It's a 6-month contract for a storage unit, already paid in full. Fine. She stares at the envelope but doesn't take it. Storage? We need somewhere to live, not somewhere to store our stuff. Your housing isn't my responsibility, Vanessa. The words come easier than I expected. Your foundation issues didn't appear overnight. You've had time to make arrangements. Her eyes narrow, searching my face for weakness. Finding none, she turns toward the house. I still have a key. We'll work around your little project. That won't work. I follow at a measured pace as she strides toward the front door. Vanessa jams her key into the lock. Nothing happens. She tries again, twisting harder. Welcome to Secure Home Systems, announces a robotic voice from the small speaker beside the door. Unauthorized entry attempt detected at main entrance, alerting property owner and security service. My phone chimes with the alert notification. Vanessa whirls to face me. You changed the locks? Last week, I nod toward the security cameras mounted discreetly at the roofline. The police have been notified about potential trespassing. Standard security protocol. Something breaks in her expression. The polished mask cracking to reveal raw entitlement beneath. You can't do this to us. We're family. Family respects boundaries, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. My phone rings. The security company? Right on schedule. I answer briefly, confirming the alert was triggered by my sister, not an actual intruder. When I hang up, Vanessa has retreated to the moving truck. Through the windshield, I can see her gesturing wildly to Mark, who sits slumped in the passenger seat. Ray approaches, hard hat in hand. We're ready to begin when you are, Ms. Morgan. Let's proceed. I sign his clipboard. The interior timeline is tight. I'd like the master bedroom suite demolished by Thursday. We'll make it happen. He hesitates. Your sister seems determined. Should we expect interference? Before I can answer, the moving truck engine roars to life. Instead of turning around, it lurches forward, bypassing the sawhorses by veering onto the lawn. It stops 20 feet from us, tires crushing ornamental grasses I'd planted last spring. The movers jump out, lowering the ramp at Ray's command, and begin unloading furniture. Vanessa emerges from the truck's cab, triumphant smile fixed on her face. Since you won't be reasonable, she calls, we'll just have to store things here temporarily. The yard will work fine until you come to your senses. The first piece, an ornate mahogany dresser that once belonged to our grandmother, thuds onto my lawn. Mark follows behind the movers, looking miserable but compliant. I don't move. Instead, I reach for my phone and dial a number saved yesterday. Lakeside Auction House? Yes, this is Gabrielle Morgan. I maintain eye contact with Vanessa as I speak. Yes, please proceed with pickup as discussed. Vanessa freezes, confusion replacing triumph. They'll be here within the hour, I confirm, ending the call. What auction house? Vanessa demands. The one I contacted yesterday, after dinner. I gesture toward the furniture accumulating on my lawn. I anticipated this move. Ray clears his throat. Miss Morgan, we need to begin demolition. Should we work around the furniture situation? No need. I hand him the final authorization forms. Everything on the property not secured inside storage sheds is being removed today. The rest of the day unfolds according to plan. Construction begins while furniture piles grow on my lawn. Vanessa alternates between threats and tears. Mark eventually convinces her to leave, promising they'll return tomorrow to fix this misunderstanding. 2 days later, on Wednesday, I receive the call I've been expecting. I'm standing in what was once the master bedroom, as workers remove the last of the drywall, revealing bare studs beneath. You heartless bitch. Vanessa's voice explodes through my phone. The auction truck took everything. That was heirloom furniture. I step outside to hear better over the construction noise. Then it should never have been dumped on property you don't own. Her scream resonates through the phone, but something has changed inside me. The calm I feel isn't forced. It's become my natural state. The boundary I've established feels right, necessary. I've kept all the documentation. I tell her when her tirade subsides. Photos of furniture abandoned on private property, security footage of attempted unauthorized entry. The police report about trespassing warnings. The silence on her end speaks volumes. I've instructed the property management company about authorized visitors. I continue. You're welcome to schedule an appointment to see the renovation progress. With advance notice, Mom and Dad are coming to talk sense into you, she finally says, voice brittle with fury. I check my watch, then glance at the construction foreman who gives me a thumbs up. Perfect timing, let them see exactly what they can't take from me. As I hang up, workers begin dismantling what would have been Vanessa's claimed master suite. The sledgehammer crashes through the remaining wall, sunlight suddenly flooding the space through the newly exposed frame. For the first time in years, I can breathe deeply here. The air smells of sawdust and possibility instead of obligation. The security system chimes, alerting me to vehicles approaching the property. I step onto the porch, building plans in hand, watching my parents' car roll to a stop beside the construction equipment. The demolition of the master bedroom walls concludes with perfect dramatic timing. I stand, framed in sunlight streaming through bare wooden beams, ready to greet them on my terms. I straighten my hard hat and adjust the protective goggles, a smile playing at the corners of my mouth. Miss Morgan, where do you want the drywall stacked? Calls Rico, the site foreman. Along the east wall, I answer, pointing toward what used to be my grandmother's antique sideboard. Make sure it's covered if it looks like rain. Dad and Mom emerge from the car like cautious explorers stepping onto alien terrain. Dad's face hardens as he takes in the construction equipment scattered across what was once a manicured lawn. Mom's hand flies to her mouth as her eyes scan the property. What have you done? Dad's voice carries across the yard, competing with the circular saw screaming through lumber nearby. I walk toward them with measured steps, work boots crunching on gravel. I told you. 9-month renovation. Everything down to the studs. They follow me through the front door, and their footsteps falter at the threshold of what once was the living room. Exposed beams. Gutted fireplace. Subfloor revealed where polished hardwood once gleamed. This is madness. Mom whispers, her voice barely audible over the contractor's radio playing classic rock. You've destroyed it. Not destroyed, I'm rebuilding it. I correct her. My vision, my timeline. Dad surveys the gutted space, his businessman's eyes calculating. Gabrielle, this is excessive. Stop this now and we can still make arrangements for Vanessa's family. I laugh, the sound bouncing off exposed studs. That's not happening. His face darkens with a familiar storm. You've never understood family obligation. I can cut you out of the will entirely. The threat hangs in the air. 6 months ago, it would have wounded me, sent me scrambling to appease him. Now I just nod. You already did, I say calmly. When I refused to co-sign Mark's failed real estate deal last year, Mom gasps. Dad's face drains of color. Vanessa mentioned it during one of her attempts to get money for their down payment. I explain, picking up a set of blueprints from a makeshift table. Said you'd already rewritten the will to protect family assets. Her words, not mine. Mom's eyes fill with tears, the manipulative kind that once would have unraveled my resolve. Gabrielle, please think of the children. I am, I reply, turning toward Rico. How's the children's reading nook coming along? The built-ins are framed, he answers, nodding toward the far corner. Should look just like your designs. I watch my mother's confusion bloom on her face. For the foster youth program, I explain, the same one that received the $12,000 from the furniture auction. Dad's eyes narrow. Vanessa said you sold family heirlooms. Furniture abandoned on property that wasn't hers, I correct him. The auction house documented everything. Very public process. Mom clutches Dad's arm. Charles, she's made us look terrible. People are talking. I pull out my phone, opening social media to show them Vanessa's deleted posts about her homeless family and the subsequent community response praising my donation. Public shaming doesn't work when people know the truth, I say, returning the phone to my pocket. Dad straightens his shoulders, shifting to negotiation mode. Let's discuss options then. Perhaps we can reach a compromise. I note the change, from demands to discussion. Progress, however, small. The renovation continues as planned. I reply, gesturing toward a worker carefully removing old family photos from a wall scheduled for demolition tomorrow. But I'm willing to help Vanessa find alternative housing within her budget. Mom's tone shifts from entitled to cautiously respectful. That would be appreciated. My phone buzzes with notifications. Security company confirming no further unauthorized attempts since last week. Auction house sending official donation receipt for tax purposes. My contractor sharing progress photos of the back deck's transformation. As we stand amid the skeleton of my home, I notice Dad studying the blueprints with reluctant admiration. He recognizes good planning when he sees it. Have you ever had to reinvent a space to reclaim it? I ask them both. Sometimes you need to strip everything back to build something authentic. Before they can answer, my phone rings. Mark's name appears on the screen. Excuse me, I say, stepping away. I need to take this. I hear Mark's voice quieter than usual. Gabrielle, I wanted to apologize for my role in all this. I should have spoken up. Outside the window, I see my parents walking back to their car, their posture less rigid than when they arrived. Sometimes the hardest foundations to pour are the ones that support our boundaries, I tell him. But they're the most important? Behind me, workers continue transforming my sanctuary. One nail, one beam, one boundary at a time. The formal dining room glows amber in evening light, casting long shadows across my parents' Persian rug. The table setting feels like déjà vu. Same burgundy napkins, same crystal glasses catching light in prismatic bursts, same tension hanging in the air like a storm front. 3 months into my lake house renovation, I accepted this dinner invitation knowing exactly what awaited me. Your mother made her special pot roast, Dad says, carving the meat with practiced precision. His voice carries the forced casualness of a man about to negotiate a difficult business deal. Just like you always liked. It smells wonderful, Mom. I smooth my napkin across my lap, noting the extra place settings. Are we expecting company? Mom and Dad exchange a glance that I recognize all too well, the silent communication that preceded countless childhood disappointments. We thought it would be nice to have a family dinner. Mom places a generous serving on my plate. It's been difficult with everyone scattered. The doorbell chimes. Dad's shoulders relax slightly. Reinforcements have arrived. I'll get it, Mom says, patting Dad's arm as she passes. The moment she leaves, Dad leans forward. Gabrielle, I've been talking with the Hendersons. You remember John, my golf partner? He thinks what you're doing is rather harsh. I take a slow sip of water. I wasn't aware the Hendersons were stakeholders in my property. Community matters, Gabrielle. People talk. Yes, they certainly do. I set my glass down carefully. They talked when I handled the flood damage alone 3 years ago. Not a single offer of help then, guess. Dad's reply is interrupted by voices from the foyer. Mom returns with Pastor Williams, our family's longtime spiritual advisor, and, not coincidentally, someone whose opinion I've always respected. Gabrielle, so wonderful to see you. Pastor Williams takes the seat beside mine. Your mother tells me you've been quite busy with renovations. Transformative ones, I confirm, recognizing the setup. My parents have always excelled at creating the appearance of impartial juries. Mom serves Pastor Williams before resuming her own seat. We were just discussing family harmony, weren't we, Charles? Dad nods, cutting his meat with surgical precision, and how certain decisions might still be adjusted for the greater good. The children miss their aunt, Mom adds, her voice dropping to that particular register she reserves for emotional leverage. Family needs to stick together, especially in hard times. I notice my fingers have tightened around my fork. The old pattern unfolding exactly as expected, the united front, the implied moral failing, the quiet suggestion that I am the problem that needs fixing. I reach for my handbag, retrieving my tablet. I'd like to show you something, I say, voice steady as I unlock the screen. Since we're discussing renovations, the first photo appears, my lake house with scaffolding embracing its exterior like a protective cage. I swipe to show the interior, gutted to the studs, workers visible in hard hats and protective gear. This was day 1. I explain, continuing to swipe through the chronological renovation journey, and this was last week. Pastor Williams leans forward, genuinely interested. My goodness, what a transformation. The latest photos reveal spaces unrecognizable from their former state. The 4-bedroom layout has become a modern 3-bedroom with a private office overlooking the water. Floor-to-ceiling windows now frame the lake view. Reclaimed oak beams cross vaulted ceilings matching the custom hardwood floors below. That's the master suite, I explain, showing the room that once featured prominently in Vanessa's plans. The balcony was a structural challenge, but worth every penny for that sunrise view. Mom's fork pauses halfway to her mouth. It's completely different. That was the point. I swipe to a different folder, opening a timeline document. Here's the project schedule, created 5 months ago. And here's the property assessment, showing the projected value increase, 40% above previous valuation. Dad's expression shifts subtly, the businessman in him recognizing solid investment strategy despite himself. This was never about denying Vanessa, I say, my voice measured as I place the tablet on the table. It was about honoring my own plans I made long before her convenient housing crisis. Come, I say, bringing up another folder. I also have some older photos you might remember. Or perhaps not, since you were all on that Caribbean cruise at the time. The storm-damaged photos appear, my lake house with water halfway up the first floor, furniture floating, walls already showing signs of mold. $28,000 in emergency repairs, I continue, displaying receipts and contractor invoices. Here are the text messages from that week, the ones where I asked for help and was told everyone was too busy. I saved every vacation photo. Mom's face pales. Dad studies his plate with sudden interest. Respecting boundaries isn't cruelty, I say into the silence. It's adulthood. Dad's shoulders sag slightly, a gesture so subtle I would have missed it before. For the first time, I see him not as the family patriarch, but as a negotiator who recognizes his position has been outmaneuvered. I should have helped with those repairs, Mom says quietly. No qualifications, no expectations attached. Perhaps the first genuine apology I've ever heard from her. The front door opens, breaking the moment. Vanessa sweeps in, cheeks flushed with righteous indignation, clearly expecting to find the usual united front against me. Her stride falters when she observes the tableau, our parents' reflective silence, Pastor Williams' thoughtful expression. My tablet displaying evidence rather than emotion. What's happening? She asks, confusion replacing confidence. Mom said we were discussing the lake house situation. We were, I confirm, standing and gathering my things. I've shared my renovation progress. When it's complete in 6 months, you're all welcome to visit as guests, with advance notice. I extend a formal invitation card from my purse. The housewarming is scheduled for March 12th. I hope you'll all attend. The question hangs unspoken as I walk toward the door. Who will come and on what terms? I drive away with surprising calm, watching my parents' house recede in the rearview mirror. Ahead, twilight settles over the lake, and I picture my property glowing with construction lights. Transformation continuing, regardless of who witnesses its completion. For the first time in my adult life, I feel neither guilt nor obligation, only the quiet certainty that peace doesn't require surrender. Sometimes it demands a stand. Sunlight dances across the lake, casting diamond reflections on my bedroom ceiling. 6 months have passed since that Sunday dinner ambush, and my lake house transformation is finally complete. I cradle a mug of coffee between my palms, savoring the morning stillness on my balcony. No voices demand my attention. No obligations crowd my thoughts. Just the gentle lapping of water against the dock and birdsong from the old oak tree I refused to remove during construction. Below me, the professional kitchen gleams with copper accents and reclaimed wood countertops. Last weekend, I hosted friends for dinner, serving wine in glasses I selected, not inherited. Laughter echoed through rooms once designated for Vanessa's children. The exercise room occupies what would have been her master suite, my daily reminder that self-care isn't selfish. My phone chimes. A text from Rachel, my contractor-turned-friend. Still can't believe we pulled this off. Best project ever. I smile, remembering her stunned expression when I first outlined my vision. You want to gut a perfectly good house? She'd asked. Now she brings potential clients to see my place, with permission. Always permission. The doorbell interrupts my reverie. Through the security camera, I spot my parents standing awkwardly on the porch, Dad shifting his weight between feet, Mom clutching a small plant, their first visit since the renovation completed. I press the intercom. Come in, I say, unlocking the door remotely. It's open. They enter tentatively, so different from the Sunday dinner where this all began. Dad's eyes widen at the soaring ceilings. Mom's gaze fixed on the dining table positioned exactly where Vanessa once claimed space would be perfect for the kids' homework. Gabrielle. This is incredible. Dad trails off, at a loss for words for perhaps the first time in his life. Remarkable. Mom finishes, setting her peace offering, a small jade plant on the side table. Truly remarkable. I serve coffee in handcrafted mugs, watching them catalog changes. Mom lingers by the photo wall, images of my hiking trips, architectural projects, and sunset swims. Not a single family portrait among them. This is who I've become, I say simply, answering the question she doesn't ask. Dad nods, his businessman's eye noting the quality of craftsmanship. You've created something remarkable here, he admits, echoing Mom without realizing it. The bittersweet recognition hangs between us, growth that required distance. Later, I host an impromptu gathering. Rachel brings champagne. The security company sends a gift basket with a card reading, "For our most respectful client." The auction house owner stops by, proudly sharing photos of the community center furnished with Vanessa's abandoned heirlooms. The foster youth program director cried when we delivered everything. He tells me said it was their first matching furniture set ever. My phone buzzes with a text from Vanessa. I'm sorry about the furniture. Can we talk? I consider her words, composing my response carefully. Dinner next month, bring dessert. No discussion about moving in. The boundary maintains both protection and possibility. After everyone leaves, Dad pauses at the door. Respecting boundaries isn't cruelty. It's adulthood, he says thoughtfully, quoting my words back to me. His acknowledgement feels like the final renovation completed. Evening settles as I walk alone to my dock. The sunset transforms the sky from gold to purple, colors rippling across the water's surface. My reflection appears solid, unwavering against the changing canvas above. Peace doesn't mean giving up boundaries. It means respecting them. And in this sanctuary, completed by my own vision, I've found both.